Why should Americans care about Ukraine?
There is good and evil in the world, and we're on the side of good. This is an evil war. Putin has already been indicted for crimes against humanity. We want to be against that. We want to be against the killing of innocent civilians, rape, torture, kidnapping. That's part of it. We are a country that defends democracy. This is a war between democracy and autocracy. We want to be against annexation because we've been down that road before. We know what happens when we allow countries to do that. So I think there's just some very powerful moral arguments why we need to help the Ukrainians. But secondly, if you don't care about that, and you know, maybe some people don't, they just say, well, why should I care? I think this is a vital national security interest for the United States for the following reasons. If Putin loses in Ukraine, our allies in Europe will feel more secure. This has a direct implication for our security interests vis-a-vis NATO. And God forbid, if he does achieve his objectives in Ukraine, we'll have to spend more and do more to deter Russian there. The Italians went into Ethiopia and was like, well, that's not our problem. It's far away. Why do we care? Then Hitler started taking territory through measures of appeasement. In part, countries were doing appeasement because they got mixed signals from us. They couldn't rely on us. And so they had to think, well, if the Americans aren't going to be here, we got to cut deals. And we said, well, that's not our problem. Japanese went into China during that period, far away. And people like, well, that's not our problem. That's somebody else's fight. 1939 happened. And the Nazi Germany and the Soviets, both went into Poland. And we still stuck our head in the sand, saying it's not our problem. Who cares about democracies, autocracies, and these are wars of European wars that don't affect us. And then tragically, 1941, we were attacked and we got into the fight. But the historians, I'm not a historian of that period, but I read them frequently. They say, had we got more involved and tried to deter Nazi Germany years before, tried to deter the Japanese years before, maybe we could have avoided that catastrophic war, World War II. And I think that is a very important lesson. We may not think it's our problem now, but it could easily become our problem later.
Yeah, history would indicate that aggressors don't stop unless they're stopped. Will Congress approve more aid for Ukraine? And can Ukraine survive without it?
I just think this is shameful. I want to be clear. It's one thing to do trades on things that I'm giving this to you, in return you give this to me, right? That's called log rolling. I don't think it's a great way to legislate, but it's a tradition in our history. But what's so bizarre about this is that those blocking aid to Ukraine actually support providing that aid to Ukraine. They actually understand, at least to my knowledge, when I interact with them, that this is in America's national interest. So I just think we have to get this done. Without our assistance, Ukrainian civilians will die. And without our assistance, Ukrainian soldiers sitting in their trenches right now, waiting for better and more ammunition, will die. That's on us, as far as I'm concerned. And I think we need to look straight and say, okay, we're going to accept that cost. That's not one I want to accept, but that is the brutal reality of already, I would say, delays in this assistance.
Should we as an organization and our supporters, sit back, wait and see what happens? Or would your advice be for us to the maximum extent possible, lean forward and still help Ukraine?
There's two moods on Capitol Hill that need to be changed. One is that this is not urgent. And there's a sense that, they're voting on a lot of things, and there's a theory running around that this is not urgent. And so for those who are working with Ukrainians who can give witness that it is, members of Congress need to hear that from you. And second, they need to hear that the American people care about this. I think we grossly, as American citizens, underestimate, especially the causal impact, to use a social science term, of reaching out to your representatives to express your opinion. So I would just tell people, take the time to find out where your representative is and communicate to them so that they know that their constituents care.